So we continue in English with my guest Eva BERNEKE, the new head of Eutelsat, one of the largest satellite operators in the world, and Stefan Israel, the head of Arianespace, one of the largest launch providers in the world. We are living interesting times, just like in the Chinese curse, with many launchers that have been there historically being on the way to be replaced. Ariane 5 will be replaced by Ariane 6, Vega by Vega C, Atlas 5 by Vulcan. The only one that will be lasting might be SpaceX Falcon 9 for all time being. So it's transition time, and we know that transition is always a tricky moment. But fortunately, there were some kind of backups available. For instance, I know that in Europe we thought that the availability of Soyuz might help to support this transition. And suddenly, 3 months ago, everything went down the drain with no longer any Russian launcher to ensure this redundancy. So, are we going to a launcher shortage? Well, it's a topic that has been decided for this session. So, I will ask Eutelsat. Eutelsat, you're covering all the segments. You have satellites in geostationary orbit. You have constellation through your very large contribution to OneWeb, and you are even in the tiny satellite systems with the ELO Internet of Things constellation. How do you evaluate the situation?
For us, it's clear that the Russian-Ukraine crisis created an urgency to revisit this very important element of access to space. Access to space is super important for us, and we've always, in Eutelsat, tried to have multiple suppliers in our access to space. And it's clear when one of them kind of falls away, or one option falls away, we need to revisit whether we have enough in stock in our backlog to secure, first of all, our own launchers. And for Eutelsat, it's the case. We're safe and we're launching 4 satellites over the next 6-7 months. It was less so the case with OneWeb, who had relied exclusively on Soyuz out of Kazakhstan. So in that situation, I think it was quite well published. There was a need to totally revisit for the last 5 to 6 launchers for OneWeb and find a different solution to complete the Gen 1 of OneWeb.
Just to get a little off topic, what is the status of your satellites in Kazakhstan?
We still have a batch of satellites sitting in Kazakhstan, trying to find a way out, or OneWeb is trying to find a way out. It's something we discuss actively. Luckily, there's enough production, help of Jean-Marc and company, so we can keep on launching, and we'll be able to complete the Gen 1. But we would like to get those satellites out in order also to complete and eventually replace satellites that are needed in some of the orbits that are up there already. So it'd be good that if anybody has any good ideas on how to get satellites out of Kazakhstan, I'm taker, or OneWeb is definitely taker. But for now, they're sitting there, and we still hope that we'll get them out one day, because we'll need them to complete the maintenance circles in the years to come.
Yes, but for to replace the Soyuz, you had to go with one of your competitors, actually. So you went with SpaceX, with the Indians. Will there be anyone else in the package of launches?
Yeah, it's clear that OneWeb, and big credit to the team who super fast turned around and found alternative solutions. It's not easy when you relied solely on one supplier. There are all kinds of elements that you need to figure out in order to get alternative suppliers, and several of them up and standing, but it's pretty much close to a done deal now. And also big credit to SpaceX that turns around and help the competitor in the market and say, yes, we will be helping you launching and completing your Gen 1. So a mix of SpaceX and ISRO out of India will complete the Gen 1. So that's the last elements of getting to the finishing line on Gen 1.
You don't need another launcher, a third one, for a third provider?
There's still a bit discussions on how many that can be taken in each one, but it will likely be solved over the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Suddenly one of your launchers has been removed. Well, actually, you are still the owner of 2.5 Soyuz in Kourou. I don't know what you will do with them. How will you manage this new situation?
Well, Stefan Barensky is on form today, so he has good questions. No, so there are 2 Soyuz and a half in Kourou. I think, legally speaking, the owner is not Arianespace, but it's Glafcosmos, if I am correct. We will see if there is any possibility to use them, but we are now clearly under the regime of force majeure. And the beauty, if I may, of life is that force majeure is something contractually existing. Unfortunately, in life, from time to time, things happen which are beyond your control. I like the US word to say that, act of God. And this is unfortunately the situation we are facing. It's very bad news for all the space community. Up to 24 of February, the partnership between Arianespace and the Russian industrialist has been very successful. We have orbited successfully 13 launches for OneWeb. Once a month, we have been very flexible to accommodate the rescheduling of the constellation, and then Russia invaded crisis, Ukraine, and we entered in a new world. So this is the situation. I don't think there is much more to say. You know that Arianespace is delivering not only the launcher but also the dispenser to OneWeb. And it means that we are perfectly aware of the discussion with other launch service providers, and we understand them perfectly well because our customer must be launched now as quick as possible, but we will deliver the dispensers they need for their missions with alternative launch service providers.
Well, getting off topic again, I remember that it has happened in the past that Arianespace arranged launch services with other launchers when Ariane 5 was not available. I remember something with Sea Launch in the past. Were you involved in any way or not?
So it is our customer OneWeb who is managing the discussion with the alternative launch service providers, but we will have to deliver the dispenser. So for sure, we will be part of the solution which is going to be found, and we will do all our efforts to deliver the best solution possible to OneWeb. So yes, in the past we used to have agreement with Sea Launch. We have also an agreement with MHI for commercial missions, but which has not been activated up to now. And if we can be part of the solution to offer backup, we will do it for sure.
Yes, and MHI, which as I forgot in my introduction, is also transitioning from H2A to H3, yes, all at the same time. And all these new launchers are late. But well, the withdrawal of this Soyuz was already planned. It's just a change in the timetable.
Yes, you're right to remind this point, and the decision made to go to Ariane 6 and Vega C by ESA in December 2014 was based on many assumptions, and one of them was that we need to replace Soyuz as a gap filler as quick as possible by Ariane 6 and Vega C. And we see now that it was a very wise solution, and you know that this solution has been made in the year where Crimea was annexed by Russia, and it has been part of the solution. And at this period of time, it was clear that there was no time to waste and that we need to have a full European access to space. And for this reason, we decided to go to Ariane 6 and Vega C. It was also a reason why we decided not to go for more disruptive launchers, which would have postponed their availability, and you're right to mention it. So we were supposed to stop Soyuz in 2023. We were ready to go a little bit further if necessary, but the baseline was 2023. But the interruption came in February 2022. And we have now 11 launches which are at stake, and we have to deal with this situation.
So I understand that there will be a need for an increase in the ramp-up of an acceleration in the ramp-up of Ariane 6. Is this doable? I see some Ariane Group people in the room.
You know, we will do our best. We will see how to accommodate solutions for the institutional missions. At the end of the day, it will be the decision of our customers, and we are working with ESA, with Ariane Group, with CNES to see how to best face this solution. We have good ideas to do so, but I do not want to spoil because this is a responsibility of ESA. I speak in front of Joseph Aschbarer, and we will see how to best accommodate this situation. It is challenging, but we are working to see how we can accommodate the institutional missions on Ariane 6, and if we need other solutions, we will see. But we work with our partners to accommodate this situation.
Thank you. I'm going back to Madame Berneke. One of your predecessors, Michel de Rosen, used to say that monopoly was bad and duopoly was bad, and that he needed at least 3 reliable and affordable launch services for his satellites. I guess that this policy is still in the ADN, in the DNA of Eutelsat. But is it doable these days?
Yes, I think we still all believe that the competition is good, keeps us all on our toes. And Michel de Rosen effectively said that we needed multiple launch services working well and access to space in a good competitive market. Right now, I'd not say that we have that super perfect market in terms of access to space. Stéphane is in between 5 and 6. 6 will get there, so and it's soon, I'm sure. So I think that will be at least one good alternative. I think we just saw with the situation in OneWeb that it was actually possible to turn around and find alternatives, even at a time where one of the biggest suppliers is in between generations. And I think when we look forward, we'll see Blue Origin coming with their New Glenn. We'll probably have also SpaceX will continue to have a lot of supply into the market. We'll have Ariane coming back. We have the Indians now also testing some bigger rockets. And when we go down in the small satellite space, in the ILO space, I think we see a lot of new entrants, innovative solutions when you have to launch much smaller satellites, which might also, at least in that segment, give alternatives. So I'm confident that the market will work and that we'll get back there, but there will always be periods in time where the market is maybe not perfect, and they're having those historic relations that my predecessors created, and the backlog of options into space is quite important.
Yeah, you are one of the few customers of the Proton. The fact that it's gone, it's also a problem?
I'd say yes, we were, because it's part of our policy to be customers elsewhere. But we were also one of the first ones to sign up with Stéphane. We also signed up with Blue Origin, so we have other options. So it's always a problem when there's a good solution that goes out of the market, but a problem that can be solved.
Well, I remember Giuliano Beretta, another of your predecessors, who was really keen in trying to fly on all the new launchers to get the right prices. In some ways, let's say we are lucky in our problems, because all this is happening at a time when there is a low in the market for geostationary satellites. What is your analysis of this?
Under the control of Eva, it's clear that the last year the demand for GTO satellite has been quite weak. It has reached very, very low level in 2017, 2018, and it's recovering, which is good news. We expect in volume the market to be 2/3 of what it used to be, but in value more of 50% due to the decrease of the cost of the access to space. But it's true that this transition period for Ariane is coming at a moment where the last years have been very low for GTO. And this is why, by the way, the natural backup of Ariane 6 in case of rescheduling was Soyuz and not Ariane 5. And here again, not to make history, but I want also to say that the decision to limit the last batch of Ariane 5 was a good decision because the market was very low, the prices were collapsing, and the demand was more for non-GTO, and Ariane 5 was not adapted for that, so we will go with 5 more Ariane 5. Very important because among the famous customers, we will have the honor to launch Connect, and it will come now very quick, but Eva will say when it will come. But it's true, the GTO market has been low. Now there is a rebound, and the big game changer is the demand from the constellation, which was not expected as coming so high and so quickly, but it's now here. But apart from OneWeb Gen 1, most of the project will come more at the end of the 24-25 and for the second part of the decade. And here we will have Ariane 6 fully available at full speed.
So you're launching on Ariane 5 later this year. I have heard, maybe I'm wrong, that you're launching alone.
Right now, that's what's planned for. I think one of the things which is the interesting thing about access to space, which I'm learning just joining this big space family, is that the bus is not just going to leave on time. The bus is sometimes waiting for even passengers that are running late. And I know we're in France, so maybe everything is not always running on time, but still, in this situation, our launch of Connect VHTS is so important to us, especially because it's a huge chunk of our future growth, that we have had the discussions with Arianespace that given that we don't think our co-passenger is going to be on time, that we'll launch alone.
Okay, that means that there will be another satellite switching to Ariane 6. Because, another satellite that was planned on Ariane 5 will switch to Ariane 6 then.
No, it's more complex than that. Let's say that our policy is to be fully transparent towards our customer. And I think this is the only way to manage this business, because if you come in front of a customer and you say, I am ready, the customer is saying, I am ready, and both are late, you do not help each other. So with Eutelsat, we have worked to best accommodate their needs. Eutelsat has 4 satellites to launch by the end of the year, and I think commonly we have made good decision in the interest of both companies, and we have been in a position to accelerate the launch of Connect in single launch, and we will accommodate the situation for the other customers. We have 5 more Ariane 5 to deliver. There will be one other dedicated for JUICE, very important, but it will be in 2023, and now the scenario is almost finalized, but not totally.
Well, so let's move to another segment. I know a segment that you love. You're operator of tiny satellites for Internet of Things, so that may move us also to the segment of really small launchers. How do you see this evolving, and what is the offer from Arianespace on that?
Our offer, thanks to Vega-C and Ariane 6, will be rideshare solution. And I remind you that first, the mega constellation are relying on very big launchers because they need to make as many satellites in one launch. So this is not for micro or mini launcher. Second, when it comes to more limited projects, the majority of them are looking for rideshare solution. So, and today, even if you do not take satellites which are part of a mega constellation, but very small satellite, they first rely on rideshare solution. So, at the end of the day, there is a niche market which exists, but it is really a niche market for micro and mini launcher to offer dedicated launches, to offer better inclination, better schedule. So it exists, but we must know that it is very limited. And the real interest of mini launcher, I think, is to test new technologies, to see how we can go more quickly to new solutions. And if I take the example of Maya from Ariane Group, this is exactly what they want to do. They will have a niche market and they will test new technologies. I remind you that this is the only reusable launcher announced in Europe in this segment. And last but not least, if you ask me the question, can this mini launcher be a backup for Ariane 6 of Vega C because they will come at the time they will come? The answer is no. They have zero capability to deliver Galileo, to deliver Copernicus. Zero. So let's focus on the priority, Ariane 6 and Vega C, and let's use this mini launcher for niche market solution and to test and accelerate solutions. And then they will be useful.
Yeah, I agree with Stefan. When we're looking at the couple of projects we're dabbling in ELO, we're maybe talking a couple of handful, maybe up to 25 nano cube satellites, super small. So it's going to be either some of these new innovative solutions or some rideshare for launching this. We don't need Arianespace to do that because I don't think that would be financially very viable for Stefan's business. And I also think it's actually good that even some of the bigger operators like Eutelsat also try to work with some of these more smaller, more innovative and maybe testing new technologies in that space. So I think that's part of actually having a well-animated ecosystem where it's not only the big fish like Arianespace and the Falcon and SpaceX that survives, but we also have an underflow of small new innovators that's kind of bite us a bit in the heels.
Thank you. We have time for maybe one or two short questions. Anyone? I'm really short-sighted. Peter de Selding, what a surprise. It's coming.
Maybe for Madame BERNEKE. So you mentioned that launches are often late, or at least it's common knowledge they often are. What, as a customer of Blue Origin, what's your best guess now of when your satellite will launch with Blue Origin? That was a contract signed 40 or 50 years ago, was it? No, not that long, but a long time ago. And but Blue Origin is still working forward, and they've got enough money to go forward. So, what's your best guess as to when that is launching? And the second question for you, just out of curiosity, was the contract with SpaceX that OneWeb was able to secure encouraged by any government authorities in the United States or the UK?
Let me maybe start with the second one. I think there was a discussion in the board of OneWeb to rapidly try to secure alternative launch capacity, given that it was obvious it was going to be hard for Arianespace to secure it. So that was a board-supported decision, and it was discussed intensively. And as you know, the UK government does sit on the OneWeb board. They have a little bit less than 20% shareholding. So to that extent, you can say that it was supported, but I also think it was a very nice gesture for somebody like SpaceX who could also choose to see OneWeb as a competitor to say, yes, we will help you in a normal commercial relationship also to get your satellites launched in this quite difficult situation. So I think that was a normal board decision, like any company who would all of a sudden find one of the suppliers totally stepping out of the market. You need to turn around and find the best alternative. In that case, it was a mix of SpaceX and some Indian launch services that we also were able to secure. So on what will be first, Arianespace 6 or Blue Origin? I don't know, Stefan, what did you say?
That wasn't quite the question.
Ariane 6. But Blue Origin will be a key partner to deploy Kuiper. And I can tell you we will work as partners with ULA, Blue Origin and Arianespace to offer the best solutions possible to Kuiper, and we are very excited to do so with ULA and Blue.
Okay. I'm still struggling with the bombshell that Stefan said that Maya will not be a backup to Ariane 6. That's the headline for tomorrow. But on your case, you're the customer of Blue Origin. When do you expect they'll be ready to launch your satellite? Not make a first launch, but ready to launch your payload.
Well, right now we're launching 4 satellites over the next 6 months, and none of those are on Blue Origin, so it would be later than that. But we haven't set a firm date with them yet. That's in a discussion. It will depend on the satellite we are launching and their timing also and completion. And then, of course, what they need to start to do to actually deploy their own constellation as well.
Okay, and if I could slip in a small short one, Stefan. You talked about your Internet of Things idea, maybe a project and you talked about it as you're dabbling in it. So does this mean that you've not made a decision on whether to launch a full commercial constellation, that you'll wait to see how things go with the 4 payloads you've got launching in the next several months, I think, yeah?
Right now we're in what I'd call a prototype phase with a couple of satellites up there and getting results of that. So before kind of going ahead on a full kind of ELO constellation, we're taking a bit of learnings from that kind of prototype phase with the first small handful up there.
Well, time's up. I just want to recall that we're living in a time of transition, and we've been there before, some 20 years ago, between Ariane 4 and Ariane 5, and that time too, it didn't work as planned. We went to a launch rate of 3 per year, without any backup from Soyuz or Vega or anything, and we survived. So, well, the situation could be worse.
And we will do better this time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you you've been a wonderful audience as well. Please thank our guests and see you next time.